Hey, what's up guys? Rideshare guy here, and today I've got a video for you about what kind of passenger reports or incidents can actually lead to an Uber driver being suspended. Now, I bet a lot of you probably haven't heard of this and may not be aware, but it actually happens more than you might think. So I really want to explain this situation, what's going on, and how you can be prepared in case something like this happens to you. So basically, this situation entails a passenger leaving some type of negative comment about something involved in their ride, right? So at the end of every ride, they obviously get to rate you, and then they can leave a comment if they want. So in certain cases, passengers can actually leave comments that will trigger Uber to investigate you, the driver, and your account. And when they do this, they'll suspend your account immediately pending an investigation. So it's sort of like a temporary deactivation. And the reasons that I've seen for this, right, are basically passengers reporting things like erratic driving, intoxicated driving, you not being the person driving, and basically anything that, if it were true, would be really bad, right? Like obviously if you were driving around drunk, that's a really bad thing and Uber should be probably deactivating you. If you have someone else driving impersonating you, that's also a pretty serious situation because they haven't been background checked, etc., right? So here's the thing. Now, honestly, in every single case, these are all real cases where I've been emailed multiple times from drivers, from my followers, right? And this has happened to them. In every one of these cases where someone has reported this to me, where they were deactivated by Uber because of something a passenger said, it actually turned out that they were eventually reinstated by Uber. And this also happens on Lyft. So they were eventually reinstated by Uber or Lyft, right? So a lot of these, and frankly, false accusations, okay? You can imagine, though, that it takes a few hours. It might even take a few days in some cases. So if you get accused of something, right, let's say this happens to you, stay calm. Really, all you need to do, Uber is going to reach out to you. Sometimes you might even get a phone call from them, but typically it's over email. They're going to explain, hey, we're temporarily deactivating you because of a passenger comment that said you were driving erratically or you weren't the person named, under the count, right? So whatever the reason might be, just stay calm, explain your side of the story, right? Be proactive though, right? Explain exactly what happened and explain your side of the story. Make sure that you obviously follow up within hours or a day or two because your account is not going to be activated until they look into this and resolve this, right? In case there's any problems with your story, I mean, personally for me, I think this is just like another reason why a dash cam is super important because you can use that as evidence if need be. Uber will usually contact you right after something like this gets reported, in fact, instantly. I use the Falcon dash cam. You guys can go check that out if you're interested, but I haven't really figured out why passengers are falsely reporting or falsely accusing drivers of certain things, but I think you can imagine why Uber has to investigate these situations, right? If a passenger reports that you are drunk and then Uber lets you keep driving and then you get into a wreck and someone dies or someone's injured or something really bad happens, Uber would obviously be held liable because they knew about it ahead of time. More than likely though, so that's why Uber is obviously investigating all these situations and immediately temporarily deactivate you or whatever you want to call it, temporary suspension. More than likely though, I think it's a lot of passengers who just don't realize what they're saying. They might be drunk. They don't realize their intentions. I could totally see a passenger leaving a comment saying something like, man, this guy was driving around like he was drunk. Maybe they just didn't like the way you were driving and some Uber customer service representative thinks that you were actually drunk because they don't know how to read a comment, right? We've all dealt with Uber customer service, so that's definitely a potential situation. So I'm not sure exactly why drivers are getting reported of these things. Maybe you don't look like, maybe you have a beard now and in your picture you didn't, right? So there's all these different sorts of reasons why it could be happening. The important thing though is that you guys are prepared. You understand that if this does happen, you want to stay on top of it. Get back to Uber. Stay calm. It's not a huge deal. Obviously, it makes a lot of sense to have Lyft as a backup if you're mainly an Uber driver. This is another great reason to have Lyft or another delivery service as a backup because if you get deactivated temporarily with Uber while you're working to resolve all this, you obviously want to still work and make money, and that's where it's really good to have a backup option like Lyft. So make sure you go sign up for Lyft or a delivery service or just have some other way of making money and really diversifying so that if a situation like this arises, you guys will be prepared. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. I really like hearing from you guys. So with that, stay tuned for more videos and talk soon. Take care.